Hi everyone and welcome to Niamh's art journaling channel. Today we're going to be doing some gel printing in our art journal. So for this I'm using some Stencil Girl stencils and the large Ranger gel printing plate, which I think is about 11 by 9 by 11 inches, I think. And Dina wakley heavy bodied paints. So I've started on this gel print plate with fuchsia, cheddar and a little bit of lemon. I'm just spraying off my excess on my brayer. I'm putting on a stencil with a wide open area. Now I've particularly chosen these two stencils for this technique, and this is a technique I learnt from Birgit Koopson, and I've put the video down below and where she shows how to do this. Basically what I'm doing is removing the paint from the inside of the circles because I want to put in another colour to get a contrast image. So just with a makeup sponge I'm going back in and I'm using Ocean and daubing that through and stenciling through so that I get this secondary colour. Now I'm not being particularly careful with it. The stencil there is still working as a mask, so I'm not going where those lines are. I'm just using it basically to fill in that area in the middle. Now you can do this to do all sorts of different things. You can keep working with it. At this stage, because I know I want to do something with this print, I'm not making it too complicated, but you could certainly stamp into the background and put more texture into it or layer over more colours. So you can see me removing the stencil and you can see now I've got a dual tone print. And I'm just putting the stencil into my Dilutions journal just to clean it off, finding a clean page. And I didn't actually realise this till I watched another video, but this gel plate fits perfectly into the Dilutions journal. I've been using it in my large Dina wakley journal and there's a bit of a border around it, which I quite like, but I love the fact that this actually just takes up the entire background. So now I'm just doing another ghost print onto another piece of card. Usually I've got an encyclopedia sitting next to me where I stamp everything in, but I thought that having it onto some cardboard meant I could use it and tear it up and use it in some different ways. So now I'm doing an alternative print and I'm using sky and ocean again and some lime. Again, just rolling it out really, really fine and then putting on another Stencil Girl stencil and again rubbing off my excess onto a piece of paper. So this is quite an open design, and I have to say I have found it quite difficult to use because it's so fine just using it with paints, but it worked beautifully with this technique and it's something I'm going to use a lot more of. Because there is such a large open area, it's taking a few ghost prints to remove all the extra paint off, and I'm just doing it over some of those ghost prints I had for my previous play with the circles. So again, I'm using contrasting colours, sort of warms and cools, and I'm using lemon and tangerine and magenta, I think. I don't use a blushing in the end. Yeah. And again, I'm just going in with the makeup sponge and just sponging it in. So I'm only using one sponge for this. I did have a few extras out, but I figured if I started with my lemon, used that up and then went into the other colours, it didn't really matter in the end. And I wanted a sort of blended colour anyway. So I'm just going in the certain sections. I wanted the circles to be the pink colour, but I didn't really have much of an idea about what I was going to do with the rest. And basically it was just an exercise in actually using up the paint I put out. I put out a little bit too much, a little bit more than I actually needed. But I was liking how it was going. So as I was doing this, because there was so much open area, I thought I needed probably to put a little bit extra in. So I got some of my foamy art stamps just to add a bit of extras into the background. So this one's just a really simple line one, which I love. It's something so simple that can be so effective. And when I took this off, I thought, oh, I'm onto a winner here. And I just absolutely adored it. So I'm just sandwiching my dirty stencil between two pieces of paper again to get another print off it, trying to find a clean area to work in, and stamping my gel print into my journal on the opposite page. So you just need to press it down and print it off, and you can see it comes up really, really well. So you've got two really interesting pages that you can work on, not really worrying about, and you get some more ghost prints. So it's amazing how much paint you can continue to take off these gel prints as you go along. You can see I've been playing with this technique a little bit with all the use it up pages in my journal, and I really like this green piece of paper, so I've got some ideas for that in the future. So now I'm just using up all the extra paint I had left out, and while I'm doing this, I'm sort of thinking about which page I'm going to work on, how I'm going to put it into my journal. So these are all the prints that I got from just doing this really quick session. This is a less than a 20-minute session, and this is all the stuff that I was able to sort of come up with. I've got the prints in the cardboard, the prints in my journal, and the ghost prints that I had as well. So I'm going to be working on the blue and turquoise page, and I've got a Dina wakley face collage page, and I'm just going to glue that down on top of it. Now I'm using gloss gel medium, a soft gel medium, and spreading out all over the page. I want to get as much down as possible so I get a really firm grip between the paper and the collage sheet, and also the more liquidy or the more glue there is in the background, the more transparent the image actually goes, so you don't lose your image in the foreground. This is quite a strong image with the black in it, so it does stand out quite well, but you can kind of see, even though it's mostly gone translucent, that the areas of blue are a little bit cloudier than the other pieces, and that's one of the reasons why I cut off the extra tissue. If there is extra tissue that I don't need, I tend to trim it off. I usually like to tear it more than cut it, because it's just that extra cloudiness on your page that personally I don't particularly enjoy seeing. So this is just an abstract figure mask that I've created myself, and what I'm going to do is to tuck that in and paint it with night. So I just wanted a dark figure that the woman's kind of looking down at. I haven't diluted, I'm using a very wet paintbrush, but I haven't actually diluted the paint, but the paintbrush was wet enough that I'm able to remove some of the extra paint, because I wanted to get a little bit of extra texture in it. And again, I'm just using it up in my journal. So these pages look like a hot mess at the moment, but they will come up with something in the future, I'm sure. So now I'm just looking for a stencil, and this is one of my go-to stencils at the moment. I seem to use it an awful lot. Instead of using a wet wipe, I've just used a paper towel, and the reason for that is because I didn't want to spread the paint too far. I wanted to keep it as clean as possible. Unusual for me really, but it worked in this instant. Now the stenciling itself is very subtle, you don't really see much of it, but that's good. It's just adding that little bit of extra texture and allowing the background of the gel print just to peek through that little bit more. So using some of Dina's new stamps, I'm just putting in some extra script into the background to kind of tie the script on the collage piece into the back as well. And it's all about kind of disguising the fact that that is a collage piece of paper in the background and trying to blend it all in together so it looks sort of harmonious. So I've got these new circle stamps as well, and I tried it out in black, but it was a little bit too dark, so I've gone to get a red, and I'm stamping it back over just to bring some of that colour back into the foreground again. And I didn't realise until I actually stamped it out and had a close look that this particular stamp has words all around it, sort of saying I'm an artist, and words about sort of colour your life and so on. It's a beautiful stamp, and I really should have looked at it more carefully because I didn't realise it had that in it as well. I just thought it was a neat sort of circle stamp. Once this is dried, I decided I want to add some words into the figure, just to again give the image of the woman in the background something that she's looking at. So with the Dina wakley new white words, I decided I'd paste those down on top of the dark figure. And these are his load of words: art and soul and heart and longing and all to do with art and what it means to me, basically. So I'm just gluing this down and being very, very generous with the collage medium, just because I want to get as transparent as possible. And you can see the white words come out really, really well in the on the dark background. Now the reason I put it all over the image was I didn't realize when I opened this, I'm using a different collage medium because I finished my matte gel medium, and it's actually a gloss, which I don't mind the effect of, particularly in the foreground, but it would have looked funny if I just had it over the tissue. So I wanted to put it over the whole image just to make sure it all sort of blended in together. Finally, I'm just going in with a white Stabilo pencil just to outline my figure and to do a little bit of extra journaling on it. So this was me celebrating the fact that I've just entered 3 pieces into a new art competition and just stepping out of my comfort zone. So I wanted something sort of to journal that. So it's a fairly simple page. This didn't take very long at all to create. By doing the gel printing and doing the journal page, I think it was 40 minutes. It was while my daughter was sleeping. So it was a really, really quick way to create some fun backgrounds and to play around. I hope you have a go at this technique. Again, the link to Birgit's video is below. And if you're interested in seeing some more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button. Lovely to see you. Thanks for watching.